All right. We're still rolling, I think.
Of course, still speeding. That's what he said.
Speeding with alley.
He said we're still speeding.
Speeding in alley.
That was good of you to pick up on that.
Okay. Oh, are you trying to call me out for saying something dumb?
Well, just another day in the life, huh?
Just another day in the life of me saying something stupid. This is coming from Mr. Stupid.
From Mr. Stupid.
That's you, Bubba.
Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Because it kind of looks like some birds nested in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're making fun of my bedhead? That's fucking rude. Where'd you get that shirt? Baby Gap?
What's going on, all you bantering badgers? My name's Mason.
And my name's Grayson.
And welcome to The Modern Dude.
A podcast by dudes, for dudes, helping dudes become better dudes.
Dude! Banter is a cornerstone of dudely relationships. Giving your buddies a hard time is often the highest form of respect and love. But sometimes that can go too far. Today we're going to discuss what is a healthy amount of banter versus what is pushing the envelope too far.
Oh, banter. You and me are top tier banters, I feel like.
Which is both a good and bad thing.
We challenge each other with wit, which is, there's a respect there because not everybody can kind of keep up with our back and forth that we have sometimes.
That makes us sound like such douchebags in so many different ways.
Yeah, but I guess what I mean, yeah, it's like doubly douchebaggy because I'm like pretentious about my banter, and yet
I'm so funny and I can make you sound like I can roast the fuck out of you, but it's okay.
But it's okay because I'm good at it. So
you?
Yeah, it's like I'm like every other guy. Like it's a bad thing that every other guy out there can't talk shit as good as me.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just like one of those things that we've all, and a lot of dudes do this. I mean, it just is what it is with guys.
Literally, like I said, it literally is a cornerstone of guys' relationship. Like, giving each other, ragging on each other is just like part of being a guy.
Yeah.
And for the most part, most guys, most male relationships have some bit of that in it.
Especially if, like, you know, we've known each other for so long, there's like a brotherly quality to it now.
Of course.
And that is the kind of like teasing a little bit, but knowing that it's based in a lot of love and respect and history. You know, that's good, and that's a part of like knowing that you feel comfortable
around people.
Around
if you can
homie,
if you can give one of your best friends a hard time and them not be like super butthurt and like offended by it, that means you're friends.
You're friends
as a guy.
Yeah.
Women, that doesn't really.
Yeah, I'm sure that does exist. I just haven't seen a lot of that coming up. You know.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It absolutely is.
And you know, and as much as that is sort of like what it is, it can definitely and has definitely gone too far on more than one occasion, for many different, like in many different scenarios and different reasons. Like, you know, somebody can just say something that, as much as we're having a back and forth or something, somebody can say something that's just too far and can really kind of
strike a nerve. Yeah. You can play out the same scenario like 5 different times, and depending on where each person is coming from, it's going to be received differently each of those times.
Yeah.
Like, one day you can make a joke at your friend's expense and they're going to laugh it off or clap back, and it's like a back and forth. But they also might have had a shitty day and they weren't in the mood for it.
That's true.
And they might take exception to it. So
That's
like,
true. And then you can't like fight the fact you're like, hey, I made that joke last week and you were cool with it. Why can't I make that joke now? Like, I don't know, man. Read the room. Maybe he's not having a good day. Maybe it's not that. And be okay with the fact that he had a bad day. But also, if you're the one that's being bantered on, you do have to also give a little bit of space for that too, and be like, "Sorry, man, I'm just having a shit day. I shouldn't have, whatever."
Yeah, I mean, it's very situational.
It is.
I feel like, but also it's a lot of history. It's history based in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
And it comes out in so many different facets, and we'll get into those more later. But I think for the most part, guys well, I don't think. I fucking love going a good back and forth. I think it's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Because it does. I think that's how you build relationships as guys.
Sure.
If I don't have an inside joke, if I haven't had a witty repartee with someone, I generally don't have a connection with that person.
For sure.
And I do that with guys and girls. But for guys specifically, it is a huge part of relationship building, which is really important. And that's what we're here to talk about, is how do we build positive and fun relationship with guys, and how do we build each other up, but also like tearing each other down a little bit is always fun.
Keeping them in check.
No, man, it is what it is. It doesn't have, even if we're like giving each other a hard time, it doesn't have to be taken so fucking seriously. And a lot of guys get this. This is like no new news to any dude that's listening to this podcast. Yeah. But I think the thing that we want to talk about is like being the guy that does it too much or being the guy that goes too far.
I think it's also being the guy that does it too much or goes too far, but also not having a good balance of also big upping your homie. Because a big thing for me has always been, and with our relationship has always been, I've always known that you have love and you have support and you have respect for me and what I do. Okay. But at the same time, because I know that, we can have a witty repartee. We can have a back and forth. We can rag on each other a little bit because I know internally and deep down through the history and how we are as friends, I know that there's a mutual respect for all that. I know he wants the best for me. I know that he cares about me. I know he wants my happiness. I know he respects me. So that's okay. Okay. Again. So yeah, like at a certain, but he's also said those things verbally to me too.
I have.
And that's another thing too. I think like a lot of the time people are like, well, you know that I love you. It's like, well, when all you do
is say that after you've shit on me, it doesn't really seem
or
that
not
way.
say it at all until I've gotten to a point where I've blown up and I'm like, dude, why are you always shitting on me? It's like, oh, come on, man. Why are you taking it so seriously? You know I love you. It's like, well, that would have been nice to know and hear maybe before you were like calling me a fucking Dumbo. Like, you know what I mean?
Dumbo, that's really what you came up with, man.
I had a worse word in my head, but
we could have gone fuckboy again.
Fuckboy. There we go.
I want to know what the worst word was.
It was like a made up word. Like it was like a fucking. It was like.
What was it? You know what it was?
It was like awful. Like before calling me a fucking bing bombo. Like it was like a weird word. Like it wasn't really a word, so I just went with Dumbo, which isn't even. It's just an elephant in a Disney movie. I guess that's what it is for me. I love having a back and forth, but there needs to be a good balance of also
a good foundation, really.
Yeah, and like congratulating your homie, like
if they get when something good happens in their life, you got to be there to big up them on that
big time,
as well as like when they do something goofy, you can call them out for like flubbing over a word or like making an ass of themselves, or totally whiffing when you're like hitting on some girl. Be like, well, nailed that one, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. But like at a certain point, it's hard for a lot of guys, I think, to do that. Sometimes it's really hard for guys. They live under the guise of I'm just, it's all jokes. I'm just kidding. Like, but that's all they know how to do because it would be too, what's the word? They'd be too open. They'd be too vulnerable.
Sure. Vulnerable.
Too vulnerable to like actually look at you.
Oh yeah.
As a guy, because again, from their past, from society, from their environment,
how they were raised,
all those things, it's a lot harder for certain people to like look at you and like as a friend say, I love you and I'm proud of you and I respect you. It's just easier to just go, you look like a fucking idiot today, man. Yeah. Like
I thought you were really saying those things to me for a moment.
No, you didn't. No, you did not.
I'm acting like he did.
Oh, he is acting for sure. I'm acting.
No, I completely agree.
So that to me is what is the important balance in general. Another thing that's important to do is you can give the homie some grace if they say something and it strikes a chord in you and you don't like that and you express to them, hey, I really didn't like that joke. If you're the one that made that joke, humble yourself immediately in that moment.
It's so hard to do.
It's so hard to do. I get it. But if they're really looking at you and they're like, that one was a little bit too far. I mean, it's also the way that they do it. They could wait. And then afterwards, when they have a moment with you, like alone, they can be like, that's too far. A lot of the time what happens is they feel slighted. So they say it right there in front of all the other homies, like, that's too far, dude. You shouldn't have done that. And now you're on the defense.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, dude, it was just a joke.
Yeah.
Everybody's here. Calm down. And it's like, now you're in this fucking pickle and it just looks stupid. Yeah. Everybody looks dumb.
That is a good point. You know, sometimes like first of all, it's really hard to offend me or to make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or to go too far with me because I'll roll the joke
for sure
forever.
But you can't expect yourself in everybody else, you know?
Absolutely. I'm just saying for me.
Right.
However, I'm trying to think of an example when it's gone too far for me. Here's an example. It actually didn't offend me because I know this person so well. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. And my mom is like a 5-time cancer survivor.
Sure.
And he made a cancer joke about my mom one time. And I was just like, ooh. And we kind of had to laugh about it. And it didn't like really bother me because I know that that's just shit we do.
He also knows that you have a incredible sense of humor and like a large net to catch those things.
Sure.
You know?
But had I just had a really deep conversation about my mom's health that day or like got some bad news and he hadn't known it, and that would be a very appropriate time to be like, too far. That one tingles a little bit.
That hurts.
Because that comes back to like the circumstance, you know, like you don't know where that person's coming from during that day. You don't know how shitty of a day. You don't know. Like my mom could have just gotten some shitty ass news about her cancer and he would have made that joke and it's like, oh, this is not the day. Yeah. And then he would have felt awful, of course. But like, but then, I think you have to be able to humble yourself when you're taking criticism over pushing the limits too far.
And you also have to remember that somebody that you're making, a homie that you're making a joke about or whatever, everybody is entitled to have a few things that are off limits. Like if somebody looks at you and says, I don't want you to make that joke anymore. I really want to like be cool with any jokes and I want to be like, you know, we can have fun or whatever, but everybody gets to have a few things that like, just don't joke about that anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to joke about it anymore. I don't want you to like talk about that anymore because it just like, no matter how irrational or how
for me
whatever it's you know,
small dick jokes just too far for me. It hits way too close to home.
We're back, but
whoa,
yeah, I think but if you're gonna do your due diligence, you have to respect that that's what they want, hear it, take it in, and in the future, when you want to go there, go, I'm not going to do that because the homie said he doesn't like that, so I'm not going to do it. There's plenty of other things that you can joke about.
Let me address this, because the way we're making it sound right now sounds so fucking lame. Just like listening to us, I'm like, man, this sounds so lame. But there really is some validity there. Like, I'm not saying, like, if you need to pull them aside or just be like, hey, man, that one cut a little too deep. This is what happened. I was like in a bad mood, something, you know, maybe next time can we like just be a little bit.
I don't think that's lame.
I'm saying just make it so much of guy culture is like not wanting to look sensitive, not wanting to be vulnerable.
Right.
So I think there's a way that like you can help yourself out to not look sensitive and vulnerable while also being sensitive and vulnerable.
Well, I think we got to get rid of that idea. You just got to let that go. Like, if they're really your friend, they'll be cool with you, like, expressing that,
I'm just saying, I think there's way to, because not all guys are going to be comfortable with that. They're not going to understand. So, like, you got to ease people in a little, slowly. So, like, just being like, that hurt my feeling. Guys are going to be like, they're just going to go in on you more, you know? And sometimes, you know? That's definitely a thing. I'm just saying,
it's definitely a thing, but also it's like, those guys got to fucking humble themselves too and recognize the fact that like that was.
But that's
too
what
far,
I'm saying. I'm saying like that's why like pulling someone aside and telling them is maybe better than, like you said, like calling them out in the moment.
Right. Well, no, everybody's just gonna try to machismo.
Buck up. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna try to.
Which, like, of course,
there's
lots of issues with that, but that's just not.
It's naturally what's going to happen.
You got to play within the rules.
I've done it before. You've done it before. That's
of course.
That's what it is. We're just
absolutely.
trying to give like some advice to like what can be done, and I think the aside is the best thing.
What's a dude got to do is what we're saying. Like,
exactly.
It's like I think pulling someone aside is a way better because if you're doing it in a public forum, then the joke is going to continue, and you're just going to get ragged on more.
Sure.
Just knowing guys
it was
and
just
being
an
a part
unnecessary
of, and like
blow up, you know?
and some guy, like, here's the thing, like some guys are just gonna naturally do that because of their own insecurities, because they're trying to be funny, they're trying to have the joke go on too long or whatever. But I think if you do pull them aside and be like, hey man, that one tingled, that one stung a little bit too much.
Yeah.
This is why I'm totally cool with you. We're totally cool. That one I just want to let you know, like that one just like was a little too far. 9 times out of 10, even the most bravado machismo guy, even he's like, oh dude, I'm just kidding, man. Be like, yeah, I hear you, but can you just back off that one?
It's cool that you're kidding, but like take into consideration just like what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so on both sides of that, like it's just communication, man. Like
100%.
Communication doesn't have to be machismo and bravado. You don't have to be the macho guy all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Especially when it's in like in a man-to-man conversation. And if that's like the best way to be like, yo, man-to-man, that was a little too far. Like, don't fucking say shit about my girl like that. Like that isn't okay. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
And if the guy doesn't say that, then like, is he not cool with that? Then maybe that's not the kind of guy. Yeah. Then he's not really the homie. So I think that's I think is the most realistic way about going about that.
Of course. I think it's important to recognize, and this ties back into guys being sensitive. We are, man. People are. People can be. People have feelings and shit.
You know what? Maybe this is a bold statement, but I think because we are told that we're not supposed to be sensitive, we are maybe even more sensitive than women.
Hot take.
I think it's true because when you hold all that aggression and all that emotion and you don't fucking let it out, then it just festers.
Or you don't communicate it in a healthy way like we're talking about. Then of course it's gonna fester.
So then women, and society deems them more emotional, it's because they actually just talk about it. But
they communicate.
They're communicating.
They're talking about it. They're letting the tears go, baby. Like that's important. You should do that.
Outwardly emotional, which makes them more emotional, which is just horseshit. I think in a lot of times guys like try and keep it cool, try and like even keel, be funny, be chill. But then when something real happens and they fucking blow up,
right?
Then
that's the buildup.
That's the real emotion. Like guys just explode with emotion.
Right.
So I know this is a little off topic with the banter, but it is because like we can't be emotional. That's why we can't be real with each other if we take it too far.
And we're here to tell you that you can be emotional. You can let it out. You can talk to friends about it.
It's just fucking communication, man.
It's just communication. You can. I don't think there's such a thing as an overly communicative relationship. I think it's important to communicate everything. I think it's important to talk about things, to get down to the brass tacks of things, you know?
Even if there is such thing as an overly communicative relationship. Perfect example. Mary Grace and I were terrible at communicating. We went to therapy and she encouraged us to over communicate. Mm-hmm. And I know this has to do with a relationship between a man and a woman, but also you can practice this on all fucking sorts.
Oh yeah.
We over communicate. We did over communicate to the point where we were every little emotion we had, we were bringing it to each other.
Sure.
And then you find the balance of you find the balance of what is good, what is a healthy amount of communication, which is generally, it should be more. It should not be less. But that can be applied with your buddies and giving each other a hard time. And because at the end of the day, like, that's what banter is, a back and forth. It is a form of communication. It's generally a fun, ridiculous, verbose kind of communication. Yeah. But then it can go too far, like any other kind of communication. And so finding that balance is super key. And vital to guys evolving and growing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it's about personal
growth. This is what we're here to do.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're not, we're big upping each other, and we're trying to instill values that guys we think can do better at.
Yeah.
And
which we've tried
that sounds
to do better
fucking.
at.
If
No,
that
no,
sounds
no.
preachy. It's not, because
These are things we've been through.
Grayson and I on a personal level, we have pushed it. You remember the the Kanye conversation?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've had. There's been many different conversations that me and Mason have had about like different things that we've gone too far and we've argued about too much. And at a certain point, we're just arguing for the sake of arguing. We don't even know why we're even fucking doing it. It doesn't. We're like saying the same thing almost. It doesn't even make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's not, we take from that experience though. We talk about it, we discuss it, we laugh about it now, and we're able to grow from it. Yeah. Because if you're not talking to your friend and trying to check him if he says something that you don't like, or vice versa, if you're not being the one that's checked and you're not checking, you're not going to grow from anywhere, and you're just kind of let these relationships stay in what can be a very toxic place without even knowing.
God. Speaking of toxic places, I think two things that are not talked about enough in like the dude world is the toxicity of like open forum fandom in like sports and video games.
Well, yeah, two things that are dominantly
male.
I don't know.
For the most part,
dominantly male dominated.
Boing.
Could have done that better.
Hey.
Yeah, how I'm not a huge sports person. I like sports. I like watching sports with friends. I like kind of maybe going to a game once in a while.
This is news to me.
Dude, I like going to the bar and watching a game with you guys. I just don't know anything about
like being
sports.
Around us while we watch sports.
Yeah, I just like to be with my friends. They just happen to watch sports. I'm watching too. But there's so much, oh my God. Not that. There's so much bravado that comes to sports that is just so unnecessary. Video games, there's so much of that too, especially with like first person shooting games.
But it's all under the same thing of like of toxic banter, man. Like this is toxic banter what we're talking about here. Like people should be able to go to a fucking
sports game. Sports game.
Yikes. I sound like you.
Oof.
Should be able to go to a football game, to go to a basketball game, to an athletic arena, and like have a good time without fucking getting a cup thrown at them or like throwing hands because their team isn't doing as well as the other team, and so they're shitting on each other about it. There's a healthy form of giving each other a hard time, even at in a sports context.
Their team that they're not on, that the team doesn't know who that person is. They have no personal relationships with any person that's on that team. And yet it is so deeply ingrained that if they lose or if somebody else roots for a different team, we got to throw hands. We got to yell. We got to scream. We got to be obnoxious. What the fuck, dude? It's the same with video games.
It is.
You should be able to get online. I should be able to get online and play a video game with some randos and play a team-based game and have fun because, again, it's a game. And just, like, have fun. And if you mess up, if somebody fucks up and doesn't do their thing or whatever, I have been online with people that have just yelled bloody murder at me for playing a video game with them. As if, like, this is their livelihood. As if they're getting paid to play video games.
The drop into Apex.
One of my favorite games, Apex Legends. It's a shooter-based game. You drop in, you're running around. It's just like so funny when a guy will like get on the mic and be like, "Where are you guys? I'm over here. I'm getting slaughtered right now. I'm down. I'm like running circles around you guys. Where are you?" And I'm like, "Bro, you ran off. You tried to solo queue by yourself. Where are you even going? You're using a wingman and a peacekeeper. Those are not the right metas. It's just obnoxious to me because I can't. We're just playing a video game. Just like pick up some guns, pick up some things, shoot at some things, try to play, try to do well. It doesn't matter if you don't because your life's not going to end. It's okay." The point is, there's so many different ways for guys to fall into a trap of being too hype about something, too rude about something, too bantery about something that goes too far. And you've got to know, again, it's about that balance. We preach about it on here all the time, but you've got to find that balance between what is going to be the right and the wrong thing to say given different situations. You've got to be able to humble yourself, you know?
I could talk about this fucking all day, I think.
For sure.
Because I think it's one of the most important things that we can talk about because it's so relatable and so many things stem from this kind of banter, from this back and forth.
Yeah.
So I mean, everything we've talked about up to this point, was this episode 5 now?
This will be 5.
Yeah. Insecurities are such a big part of banter.
For sure.
Because you can rip on someone and it's just a reflection of your insecurity. Judgments, judging people literally actively and just calling them out in the moment over shit that you see or don't like, like
we're so fragile as men. The toxic masculine, it's so fragile. Our egos.
So like I think banter is really important. I really do, because I think it can be such a healthy way to like get to know people.
And bond with someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, if it's done the wrong way, it's really like the most toxic thing that we can do. Because at the end of the day, if it goes too far, you're just being a bully. Yeah. You're just being a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And
that's coming sometimes from a place of insecurity, and it's coming from a place of like maybe like a weird truth that you didn't want to have a real conversation with the person about, and instead just try to do like a side comment to like
we've all
get in
done
their
it.
head. Yeah, of course.
We've all done it, man.
Yeah.
All done it.
Yeah.
We've said something that, if like someone pissed us off earlier and we wanted to get a good jab in.
Right. We let it sit and then we wait till later and then we try to slide something in to like get back at them, and it's
fucked. It's just not healthy.
Yeah.
So,
and it can be a very hard
balancing act for sure.
Yeah. But that's kind of what we're talking about today, and what you can do to kind of, combat those things, about humbling yourself, about hearing out your friend if they say something to you about it. It's important to listen and to communicate.
Yeah.
And to get those things out.
Because remember, at the end of the day, these are your friends. And like, if you can't have a real conversation with them, are they actually your friend? So.
All right. Well, I think that is it for the day. I hope you dudes enjoyed the discussion.
I did.
Okay. If you have any questions, comments, want to see some more content, any general kerfuffle, visit GraysonMason.com or on all social media platforms at The Modern Dude.
Dude.
And don't forget, do your dude diligent.
Dude-a-rino.